I am back with yet another video, and today we're gonna talk about I don't know, it's so overwhelming sometimes. Like, what I've understood is that emotions are is not your enemy. Oh man, it already feels so hard and tough talking about it, but that's the way emotional regulation works, right? Emotional regulation, what I've understood by now is that you don't need to get rid of this. Like whenever I try to open the camera and I want to speak, I get this intense, weird feeling, and I'm not able to go ahead with this. And over the time, I've understood that the goal is not to eliminate this feeling. It's not like, oh, I want to do this, but this feeling, so I do not know, I'll go into this all different ways of how to stop feeling this, but that is not practical, that is not realistic, and that is not the right way to do it. Emotions are the way your brain and body and your entire physiology works, and if you're not feeling emotions, you are literally a psychopath. Psychopaths do not have the same hormonal or the brain centers that produce emotions, and if it does for you, it's likely that yes, you are a healthy normal person, but sometimes in some people their emotions are way out of control, just way overpowering their logic, their way of thinking. But I want to say to them, it's not your problem, you are not a problem. It's just that you were never taught growing up. It's just that you were never given the tools, the knowledge, the chances, how to how to manage, how to work despite what you're feeling. Because what I've understood from my own journey is the goal is not to eliminate feelings, because that's just a part of your body. If I'm a woman, and I am on my periods, my goal is not to stop periods. That is not the issue. That is just the way my body works. But if I want to stop feeling shitty on periods, I must know that that's just the bodily function, and that is going to happen, and that's just how a woman's body work. And I don't know, it's a very weird example. I don't know why I gave it, but that sounds very uh personal for me. So the thing is that the problem is not periods, because that is going to exist. I have to work with it. I must know how to gel with it, right? That is what I have to know. The same is with your emotions. So when you are feeling too much emotional, you just don't have learned a skill. That is emotional regulation, which is a very important skill, which I'm gonna share how you can do it, because who is better than it than me? A freaking person who has lived on the verge of the emotions. My emotions have slapped me right across my face, left and right, left and right, left and right, left and right. My mind has gone numb. I have completely lost the understanding of life. I was drowning in my big, fatty, heavy, annoying emotions. And I kid you not, who's better educated to you than me? Because all that I've learned is self-knowledge, baby. I have literally lived in those dungeons. I have lived in those dungeons. I've lived in those darkness. I've lived in the places where I felt like, ah, kill me, man. What's the fucking point of all of this stupidity, right? And it does not go. Sometimes it's like, bruh, if I don't see an end to this, fucking kill me. I do not want part of any of this, but that's too much heavy. And I'm so sorry for it. And I'm kind of scared. What if somebody, I know they hear about it, but I do have some really, really interesting stories to tell, and I really want to tell them, but not here, not the right place, not the right platform. I want to be standing somewhere accepting this freaking I don't know what, and saying like, oh, remember at 23 I felt this way, and and look, I won't say what was it, but I'm gonna wait. So yeah, let's coming to emotional regulation. So what I've understood over now is feelings are not bad. Stop fearing your feelings. I had to teach myself. I'm still learning this, and every time I have so it's so difficult for me to grasp this concept that feelings are not bad. I've always been so much scared of my feelings, even though I'm very self-aware. I know what I'm feeling, but bro, you were just self-intellectualizing it, and that is what I've done till this year, till date, until unless few weeks or just last month I understood that that is the issue, that I do not know emotional regulation. I've always seen emotions as a fucking big monster in the bed that I need to fucking get rid of. And but that's the thing. It's not monster in the bed. It's just, you know, how do I say? Like periods, it's an just a very vital bodily phenomena that happens to a woman, that is important for production, that is important for creating life into this world, whatever, blah 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 blah. So is emotion, because here, whatever knowledge do I have, there's limbic system that is called as monkey mind. There is prefrontal cortex that is like the mastermind CEO of your brain. And what happens is that your limbic system creates emotions, right? So it's like your body's physiological reactions. Those are hormones. There is cortisol, there is dopamine, there is serotonin. All of these are created by your hormones, right? Hormone system, brain, whatever. So this is what your limbic system does. And now what happens is that your prefrontal cortex and limbic system, for somebody who is managing their emotions in a healthy way, there has to be a connect, right? There has to be a bridge between them. So they are communicating well. They're not. So when they're communicating well, the limbic system, the prefrontal cortex, you do not get overwhelmed. Even though you are feeling these feelings, you understand that I can feel these things, but I can work despite of it. So you're not losing logic, and that translates into emotion, translates into feelings, feelings translates into behaviors, right? Into thoughts, and thoughts translates into behavior, right? So this is how it happens in somebody who has learned the art of emotionally regulating themselves despite feeling XYZ emotions, right? So that is how people develop it. But I believe that not many people have developed it, because it's a fucking skill. And who the fuck is much better person than learning the skill? Because bitch, life has, oh man, it has freaking like hammered me down so fucking bad. It has hammered me so fucking times that I had to learn this. Like, bitch, what is wrong? Like, can't I fucking exist without feeling this? And it's like, no, what are you talking about? You have to learn this, man. So this is what I did. I'm good at learning. I'm so much good at researching, learning, uplift, just gathering information that I'm very, very much passionate about. I'm so good at it. And as well, I'm learning the art of emotional regulation. I'm learning the that execution is so much important, and that is where I'm struggling. So that is something that is for another video. Hopefully that is going to happen next. So what I was talking about is, we talked about healthy emotional regulation, how a person who has healthy emotional regulation acts, right? So now let's gonna talk about, let's take a scenario. Everybody gets triggered. Everybody has those very dark, intense, heavy emotions that makes them feel paralyzed, and they just want to spiral, and they just get in spiral, and they just want to doom scroll, and they get into all of these uh, behaviors, coping behaviors that just keeps on going, and that makes them just more fucking more hopeless, more depressed, and they want to like, I fucking want to jump off a cliff. I want to fucking die. I don't want to feel these emotions, right? Uh, so how do we do this? So let's say I'll give my own example. Like if there is something that triggered me, or is there is an emotion that started to feel very intense, right? So what actually is happening, that the limbic system is producing those emotions, right? So it is producing a lot of anxiety. Let's say it's producing a lot of overwhelm. It's producing a lot of heaviness in my chest, right? So what happens is that it becomes so much overwhelming, and it becomes so much big that the prefrontal cortex and the limbic system stop communicating. So here the cortex is not is not like understanding, is not using the logic, and now the limbic system is leading, now the monkey mind is leading. It is just overwhelmed and it is just feeling too much, it's just feeling like it's want to die, just feeling so much sadness, misery, hopelessness, and they just feel so much of pain, right? So what happens when you act out of dysregulation? The limbic system reacts, it's reacting, it's fucking reacting, it's fucking dysregulated, it's fucking overwhelmed. So you feel these emotions, heavy, heavy, dark emotions, and that translates into thought, right? So there's no logic now. You're not acting out of logic, you're acting out of pure emotions, right? Pure intense emotions to get rid out of it. And now your body is responding how it actually wants to get out of it, right? So this is just a disclaimer, this is what all I have learned, I'm still refining. And yes, you can please add on if I'm missing some important details, or there's some scientific things that I'm missing out. I'm just sharing what I've learned so far, and I accept that. Yes, because I do know that I haven't done a full scientific research based of this, that how the work and the emotion, but I do know there's limbic system, there's prefrontal cortex, and that translates into blah 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 blah. So now coming back to the scenario, in a dysregulated person, they feel this very intense emotions that translates into thoughts of escape. They cannot see clearly. In that emotions, they feel very out of sync. They're just so much in their head and body. It is just out of control, right? So in order to escape those feelings, people spiral. People look into escape, some drink, some eat, some jerk, some watch porn, some just get into endless of these places, right? So that is how emotional regulation is the I think is one of the reasons why there's so many people who are struggling to just not getting these addictive behaviors or escapes that is just stalling their lives. And now here comes me with the same issues that I had. I would feel these extreme anxiety, overwhelm. Usually I used to feel sad, hopeless, just pain, misery, and whatever the fuck I would feel. And that would just translate into my repeated behaviors that I've always done in those times. Like, I did not knew better. That is how the body works. That is how the life is made. Like, you do some kind of shitty things, you build your whole body and your mind to a certain sets of habits, and then you boom, one day you are this person who cannot focus when they're overwhelmed. So they overeat. Mine was I binged eat, I ate so much. So why am I this fucking like crazy shit? Because I did not know what to do with those feelings. I just ate. Okay, I ate, I scrolled. I would not sleep. I would lose my sleep. I would be up till 3 to 4 a.m. in the morning scrolling, even though I felt like sleeping. It was just too much, right? And I still do it. I still did it yesterday. And I was like, bro, if I continue living this, I can't. I can't keep on living like this. This is too much. This is too much of pain existing like this, right? So what I did was I understood what is emotional regulation. I understood that I do not have to get rid of. There is no requirement, and it still is so much foreign concept for me to understand that. Oh, you don't have to get rid of your emotion. I still find a little bit of friction or resistance when I think of it like that way. But then again, I'm like, oh, that is just your brain releasing those emotions, and I must you have to when you are acting from a dysregulated place, um, you'll always find yourselves going back into this old repeated cycle of escape, doom scrolling, and that endless loop of dopamine, right? So yeah, what I understood is that you need to regulate your emotions at least at a level that feels manageable in your brain, like, oh, I can feel this, but I still have this agency that I can act despite of it. So let's say I start to feel a lot of, I don't know, most of the time I feel a sadness or whatever, and sometimes it just crushes my, just so much heavy. So usually what I used to do is that I would scroll, I would just find meaningless things. I just won't even understand what I'm doing. I would just be on my YouTube, on my Instagram, or just try to eat it off, try to eat something sweet, or just whatever, call my friends or whatever. But that does not help. Some maybe speaking about it to somebody else, but you have to understand that you have to get this feeling at a level that is manageable for your body and mind to feel okay. And you need to act, and then you have a choice, that you always have a choice, that this that even though this is how I'm feeling, I have a choice to make. I can choose to work, and I can also choose not to work. So at in those moments, you are teaching your body a very crucial thing, that is the art of choices. And what you are choosing every day, if you're making conscious effort, conscious choices, you're also teaching your body and your mind to be wired, right, in a certain way. And that is what we have always done when we were emotionally dysregulated. When we were emotionally dysregulated, we felt these heavy, heavy, intense emotions, and that time we were not aware. You did not have this information, and always we have a choice. And that time we were being unconscious, we were out of pain, and that's just life. Forgive yourself. And then you were choosing a behavior that was gonna keep you in this constant loop of dopamine chasing. You want to feel better, and you try to make yourself feel better by eating, by scrolling, by jerking off, by smoking, by drinking, all of these behaviors. uh, so emotional regulation then comes to the picture and says that, I feel like doing all of this has led me to where I am right now, and that is not leading me any fucking where. So, how do I need to act? Um, if I feel these very, very deep and very, very deep, crazy feelings. So, for those people, it's just not that you will just sit down and you have to learn some tools, there are some emotional regulating tools, right? So you have to understand that in moments that you feel these very, very intense emotions, like, oh, I'm losing my shit, right? Oh, so you have to understand this, that you have to emotionally first regulate yourself. And then when you're emotionally regulated, out of that regulation, you have a choice. And in that choice, you make a conscious decision that how you're going to show up, how you're going to act. In this, again, I'm going to be very, very much, I'm going to caution you that do not chase perfection. You allow yourself, you are supposed to be messy. There's no rule book that you have to be perfect at anything that you're doing. You are supposed to be human, act like one. Be so much fucking messy when you're starting this, having no fucking clue. If you are making conscious choice to act different, and if you put yourself in a place that, oh, now that I've emotionally regulated myself, I'll now study fucking 5 hours. I have some bad news for you. You're not gonna get out of that loop, because again, you're gonna fail at uh, fail at doing that task, and it's going to make you feel more miserable. Then again, you're going to go back into that intense freaking anxiety and those emotions. Then it's going to overpower you, and it's going to you again go back on the loop, right? So we see through it that, this is what you want to do, this is the scale of action you want to do, but now let's tone it down. Now let's fragment the action into the most simplest, easiest thing that you would want to do. If you want to study for 5 hours, I do not know, I'm still figuring it out, but I would not go ahead and set a goal of studying for 5 hours. That is not practical. That is unrealistic. That is what I'm not saying. It's not impossible, but possibilities are created through a process, man. You cannot just fucking sit down and just announce to the world, oh, I'm gonna be a fucking millionaire tomorrow. I did not say it's not possible, but I did say that there, for possibility to occur, there's a process. You have to go through a process. You have, you don't, that is just bullshit. You're bullshitting yourself. So that is what you're saying. So when you make a goal of studying for 5 hours, I do not know it's going to work. So out of that 5 hours, I'm gonna take a very, very small. Maybe I could just start with doing the task in the most simplest way. Then keep on doing this. And I know it's not easy. Everything asks for you to act, right? It asks you to act. It is asking you to work despite of what you are feeling, right? How I learned the art of emotional regulation, and I would urge you all that go ahead and just kind of experiment with it. And it's exhausting. I agree. It's not like now I have this knowledge and now that I put it, but then you realize that, oh, every day I have to put it. And that's exhausting. It's exhausting. It's like, oh my God, this is such a big ass long journey. And it's gonna take me so much fucking long time to arrive here. Me so much fucking long time to arrive here, right? Uh, I'm still figuring it out as you, but if you have any ideas what how you can do it, consistency for me has many times felt like, oh man, I have to do it every day, and it starts to feel very heavy for me. And I think there something, some insights I'm missing out there, but I think taking one day at a time is what I would really appreciate. Yeah. So that is what I have for you to talk about learning the art of emotional regulation. And that is going to help you a lot, man. So peace out and love and light to everyone. And I hope that you have the courage to go after your dreams, to go after your desires. That is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create a life that I would that I would wake up and be so much excited and full of joy. That is how I want to show up in this world. So peace out, love and light. Nandi. Bye bye.